Have you ever felt stuck in life? Like you're caught in a never-ending loop, unable to find a way out? Sometimes, all it takes is one moment, one unexpected encounter, to break that cycle and set you on a new path. Today, I'll share a story that will leave you inspired and motivated to take charge of your life. Stay with me till the end because the twist in this tale will surprise you. It was just another day for Ravi. At 28, he was living what most would call a comfortable life. A decent job, a small apartment, and enough money to get by. But Ravi didn't feel comfortable. In fact, he felt trapped. Every day he woke up, commuted to work, slogged through meetings, and came home exhausted. His dreams of starting his own business and traveling the world felt like distant fantasies. Ravi's routine was predictable, and so was his dissatisfaction. That morning, he stood at the bus stop, scrolling through his phone, drowning in the noise of social media. His headphones were on, but no music was playing. He was lost in thought, asking himself the same question he asked every day. Is this all there is to life? Just as Ravi was sinking deeper into his thoughts, a voice pulled him back to reality. "Excuse me, young man. Do you have the time?" Ravi looked up. Standing before him was an elderly man dressed simply but neatly. His face was weathered, yet his eyes sparkled with energy. Ravi checked his watch. "It's 7:15, he replied. The man smiled. "Ah, plenty of time before the bus comes. Mind if I sit here?" Ravi nodded, though he hoped the man wouldn't try to strike up a conversation. He wasn't in the mood for small talk. But the old man had other plans. "You look like you've got a lot on your mind," the man said, his voice warm and kind. "Anything you want to share?" Ravi hesitated. He wasn't the type to open up to strangers. But something about the man felt different. Against his better judgment, Ravi found himself saying, "I don't know. Life just feels stuck, like I'm running in circles and not getting anywhere." The old man nodded thoughtfully, as though he'd heard this before. Then he said something that would stick with Ravi forever. "Let me tell you a story." The man began. "There was once a farmer who owned a small piece of land. He worked tirelessly every day, but no matter how hard he worked, his crops didn't yield much. One day, frustrated and exhausted, he decided to dig up his land, thinking he might find something better beneath the surface. As he dug, he found a treasure chest buried deep in the soil. Inside were enough gold and jewels to change his life forever. But here's the catch. He would never have found it if he hadn't started digging. Ravi listened intently, unsure where the story was going. "So what does that have to do with me?" he asked. The man chuckled. "Sometimes life feels like that barren field. You think there's nothing left to gain, but the treasure is there. You just have to start digging. The hardest part is picking up the shovel." Ravi frowned, unsure whether to take the man seriously. "But what if I start digging and there's nothing there?" The man's expression softened. "Ah, that's the question most people ask. But let me ask you this. If you don't dig, how will you ever know? Sometimes it's not about the treasure. It's about the courage to look for it." The bus arrived, interrupting their conversation. The man stood up and said, "Your ride's here. But remember this, young man. The life you want won't come to you. You have to go to it." Ravi hesitated, wanting to ask the man more questions, but the old man was already walking away. As the bus pulled out of the stop, Ravi turned to look back, but the man was gone. The encounter with the old man stayed with Ravi throughout the day. His words echoed in his mind: pick up the shovel, start digging. He realized something. None of these things were impossible. They were just buried under layers of excuses and fear. Ravi decided it was time to pick up the shovel and start digging. But where would he begin? The next morning, Ravi woke up 30 minutes earlier than usual. It wasn't a dramatic change, but it was a start. Instead of scrolling through his phone, he used that time to research small business ideas. He discovered a growing demand for handmade leather goods, a hobby he had dabbled in years ago but never pursued seriously. At work, Ravi began setting boundaries, politely declining tasks that weren't his responsibility. For the first time, he left the office on time, feeling a sense of control over his schedule. On the way home, he stopped by a local photography club meeting he had always been too busy to attend. That one step opened the door to new friendships and creative inspiration. But the journey wasn't easy. Ravi faced moments of self-doubt and setbacks. One evening, As he tried to craft his first leather wallet for sale, he accidentally ruined the material. Frustrated, he almost gave up. He sat down, remembering the old man's story. "The treasure is there, you just have to start digging." Ravi realized that mistakes were part of the process. He ordered more supplies and tried again. Slowly but surely, his efforts began to bear fruit. He sold his first wallet online and then another. His evenings were now filled with creating, learning, and growing, rather than mindlessly scrolling through his phone or watching TV. At work, his colleagues noticed a change in him. He seemed more confident, more focused. Even his boss, who rarely gave praise, complimented him on his improved performance. Ravi wasn't just doing better at his job, he was enjoying it more because he no longer felt trapped by it. One weekend, Ravi decided to visit his parents, something he hadn't done in months. As he shared his recent progress with his father, he was surprised to learn something profound. His father said, "You know, when I was your age, I wanted to start a business too, but I didn't take the first step. I always told myself I'd do it someday. Now, I realize I waited too long." That conversation hit Ravi hard. He realized that the fear of failure had been passed down to him, but unlike his father, he was choosing to break the cycle. He decided to share his journey with others, starting a small blog where he wrote about his experiences, his struggles, his small victories, and the lessons he was learning along the way. To his surprise, people resonated with his story. Comments poured in from strangers who were inspired to take their first steps as well. A year later, Ravi was sitting at the same bus stop waiting for the bus. But this time, he felt completely different. His small leather goods business was growing steadily. His photography had been featured in a local gallery, and he had even started leading workshops to help others find their own paths. As the bus approached, a young woman sitting next to him sighed heavily. She muttered, "I feel so stuck. Life just feels like it's going nowhere." Ravi turned to her and smiled. "Let me tell you a story," he said. The woman looked at him, puzzled but curious. Ravi began. "There was once a young boy who wanted to cross a river." As he told her the story of the boy and the old fisherman, Ravi realized something. He had become the stranger at the bus stop. The wisdom the old man had shared with him was now flowing through him to others, creating a ripple effect of inspiration. Life is full of bus stops, moments when you're forced to pause and reflect. It's easy to feel stuck, to convince yourself that nothing will change. But remember, the treasure is always there. You just have to start digging. Don't wait for the perfect moment because it will never come. Start small. Take the first step, no matter how uncertain or shaky it feels. If this story inspired you, share it with someone who might need a little push today. And let me know in the comments, what's the first step you've been waiting to take? You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to start. Ready to take your first step? Comment below what you'll do today to start digging for your treasure. Let's inspire each other. If you like this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to Tech Tales for more.